Good morning.
My name is Kim,
I'm Jen.
and we are your favorite occupational therapists here to discuss another topic today that we hear frequently in our pediatric occupational therapy practices. And it is what, Jen?
Toe walking.
Yes. A lot of our kids are way up on their toes, and they're up on their toes all day long. Families come to us very concerned about that. There's a lot of reasons for toe walking. So you need to sort of figure out yourself or with your pediatrician on why your child is on their toes. If they have a neurological condition such as cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, they could be on their toes because they have tight heel cords. They could have tight heel cords for a number of reasons, but work with your physician on that. We see a lot of kids who are on their toes because they have sensory processing disorder or autism. So research suggests that 32% of kids who are on the spectrum are toe walkers. And there's a lot of things that we can do with that. We're going to share 10 of those items with you today. Now, some of these kids are either on their toes because they're hypersensitive to touch and they don't like touch on the bottoms of their feet. So they get up on their toes so they don't have to feel a lot of that input into their toes, whether it's sand, grass, gravel, carpet, tile. Conversely, a lot of kids are on their toes, and this seems kind of like a strange thing, but they're on the toes because they want more input. They love the input they get into their calf muscles by being up on their toes, and that's why they do it. And then another group of sensory seekers are up on their toes because a lot of our kids that have sensory processing disorder or autism have low muscle tone. They have a weak core, weak abdominals, weak hip extensors, and they're up on their toes because that gives them some added control when they're walking. But for all of those kids, we've got 10 strategies that could be helpful to them. Number one is walking on an incline. If you walk on an incline, you generally have to put your heel down in order to keep your balance. You can find inclines at lots of parks. Kids have to walk up a little ramp and walk down a little ramp. When they're at parks, they could go and walk up stairs to go down a slide. Usually you have to have your foot flat to be able to handle that as well. You could have them jump on a trampoline. When they're jumping on a trampoline, they generally have to get down into a squat position before they raise up. And when you get down into a squat position, you are usually flattening your foot and getting down on your heel. If you have a trampoline and your child is still jumping on their toes, put them in a pair of shoes and see if that helps. If that doesn't help, then maybe trampoline is not a great activity for them. Number three, Jen?
Oh, we're going that way. So I'm ready. I like kids jumping off of items. So I like them jumping off of the bottom step, or I like them jumping over things so that they get that two-footed takeoff and landing, and they get tons of input in the bottom of their feet. I really like them jumping onto different textured items. So bubble wrap is one of our favorites because it gives that added fun sound, popping sound, and also that added input into their feet and hips.
Yeah. Number four I have is hiking. I love to hike. Hiking, make sure you find a hilly place so that they've got to go up hills a lot. That'll flatten out their foot. Also give them a basket so that they collect leaves and little acorns on the way, because squatting also generally flattens the feet and is a great way to stretch a heel cord. If they've been up on their toes a lot, those heel cords could be getting a little tight, so we want them squatting positions a lot. So hiking will flatten the foot out, and squatting will flatten stretch the heel cord out as well. Number five is squatting in play. That's one of my favorite things to do. It gives a lot of input into the legs. It generally has to flatten the foot. It's hard to squat on your toes. You might have to take their little bodies down and show how to get into a squat position. Once there, put their favorite book in front of them so they're squatting as they're turning the pages of a book. You could set up a game where you've got puzzle pieces on the floor. They squat down to get the circle. They stand up to put it in the form board you're holding. You've got a square on the floor. They squat back down to pick up the square piece. They stand back up to put it in the form board. So I love that activity. What do you have for number six, Jen?
Well, going back to your squatting, though, you can do like Legos would be good for that, or a sustained squatting position. So that they're down there for the entire puzzle is another way to do it, or they have to put 10 Lego pieces in there. Or maybe you wanted to do like a leapfrog kind of game where they are incorporating the squatting with the jumping. All right, so my next one is walking backwards. It's very hard to walk on your toes when you're walking backwards. So I like to have like a pull toy, so like a wagon, or if you just tie a shoelace around a stuffed animal and take them for a walk, you tend to, you can walk backwards so you can watch the animal come with you or the toy come with you. I like that idea. And then my next one is walking on their heels. So getting those toes way up in the air so that they are actually walking on their heels. We do animal walks, and a lot of times we make that our penguin because it makes you kind of wobble like a penguin. So that is my heel walking idea. Is that number 6? Number 7? No, that was number 7. Number 8. Oh, that's me again. Walking. A lot of times our kids do not like to walk in the grass. So these hypersensitive kids, they hate walking in the grass. So we need to try and desensitize that. So sometimes I'll get like a sandbox or just a Tupperware container where they can fit their feet in, and I'll fill it with beans or sand or rice just to get them used to that. But if you have the luxury of being near a beach, walking in the sand is a great activity. It's very hard to walk in your heel or on your toes in the sand. And it kind of gets you into that heel walking position anyway. So it's a great opportunity to practice that and get lots of sensory input into the bottoms of their feet.
Yeah, and I love that too for my hyposensitive kids who are craving that kind of input that are up on their toes, because you put them in, I know it sounds crazy, but you get a big Tupperware container and you fill it with some lima beans, stand them in it. It's a lot of input that they're seeking when they're up on their toes, and they really enjoy that. So I use it for those kids as well. Number 9 is weighted play. So if my kids are seeking the sensory input and that's the reason they're on their toes, sometimes I'll order some ankle weights for them and give them the extra input that way. Or I love, one of my favorite things to use in therapy is a 2 or 3 pound muscle ball. They're filled with sand. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at a sports store. I'm sure they're on Amazon. I might put it down on the ground where they have to squat. So now I'm stretching the heel cord because they have to get on their heels when they squat. They're picking up that ball and they're standing up. So they're getting lots of weight through their body. It also helps work with our kids that are standing on their toes because they have some core weakness, and have them overhead pitch it to you. You've got to really activate your core that way. You've got to be back on your heels in order to throw that. So I love weighted play. Anything else you wanted to add about the weighted play, Jen?
Yeah, so while you were talking, I was just thinking if you saved a milk jug and added some water to it and you were filling a pool, they could squat in the position with the milk jug and add the water that way. So you'd get like many different senses that way.
Yeah, and while you said that, even if you had a little garden and you gave them a little water bucket, or what are those things called that you fill the...
Yep.
Anyway, you squat and have them water your plants that way too. And what's number 10, Jen?
Number 10 is wearing flip-flops. Summer is here, great opportunity. Kids often don't like to wear socks anyway because it bothers them, but this is a great opportunity to have them off of their toes. You have to use your toes to keep those flip-flops on, and it's almost impossible to walk on your heels while you're walking in, or walk on your toes, sorry, while you're walking in flip-flops. So that's my last strategy.
I love that idea. And the other thing that we wanted to tell you, if your child is young, under the age of 3, we don't worry a whole lot about toe walking. We don't expect to come in and diminish the toe walking in a week or 2 or a month. It could take a lot of time, but you want to have an occupational therapist or physical therapist on board just to make sure that they're not getting tight heel cords. If they are, there might be some additional strategies as simple as wearing high top tennis shoes. But again, we worry about that early on. But when in doubt, please call your early intervention. Every state has them for treatment of children under the age of 3, or call an occupational therapist in an outpatient clinic. We hope that you like what you've heard today. We hope it's been helpful. Please hit like and subscribe, and we'd love to see your comments. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.